Hey, we are back with another episode of Business of Basketball. This is Misha Horsey. Today we have Garry Mills, the executive director and founder of Shoot Basketballs, Not People.
18 friends and family I've lost to gun violence to date.
What's up, Garry?
What's up, squad?
What's
I've been
up?
waiting. I'm here. I'm here.
You.
What's up? Talk to me. What we doing? I told him I was going to, sit up a little bit.
Yeah.
What we doing? I'm excited, man.
Yeah, thank you for being on. Shoot Basketballs, Not People. I want to start there. That's a powerful, powerful statement.
Yeah.
When you thought about that name, like, I want to go to the roots. Like, what happened? What was the defining moment where you was like, this is the statement that I want to make for this organization?
2010. 2010, we did Worcester Playground. It wasn't even supposed to be an organization. It was just supposed to be a basketball game in 2010. And then the game was so crazy in Worcester, and I kind of sat on it for 3 years. I didn't really do nothing. And then 2013 came around, and I printed up like 1 or 2 hoodies. And everybody kept asking me about these hoodies. So then that's when I got in mode. Started pressing up the hoodies, selling out the trunk. Still wasn't an organization. Then kind of fast forward towards the tail end of the 2013 year, that's when I started learning about the nonprofit sector. I started learning about apparel. I started learning about programming. And that's when we started the program at the end of the year at the Limfest Center. Got you. Yeah.
That's all it. And I remember that's how we met, right?
Absolutely.
We did our program, our clinic together. And I know there's a high rate of violence in this city.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that has also probably contributed to the name, right? So speak a little bit more to that.
I mean, when it came down to what the city was doing at the time, there was the whole idea of gun violence prevention wasn't real high around then. Kind of like the last maybe 4 or 5 years is when the city this is a national situation that we got to tackle right now.
Yeah.
And for me, it was I didn't look to get paid off of none of this. I didn't even know what grants was. I didn't know what fundraising was. I was just doing it because I knew kids needed something to do. Mm. But then when it got closer to home, with parents losing kids to gun violence, and by the grace of God, I haven't lost any children, that was in my program. But my first encounter with gun violence was at the age of 14, losing my friend in front of Martin Luther King High School at 14. Mm. So that was my first interaction with gun violence before Shoot Basketballs, Not People was even thought of.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did that moment do for you?
Oh, it shifted everything. Yeah. I mean, as a 14-year-old child, and that year prior, I just moved back from down south. So once I came back to Philly, it was like a culture shock. Mm. The style of basketball was different. The neighborhoods was different. People don't speak to you as much as they did down south. So that Southern hospitality stuff was real. Mm-hmm. So coming back to Philly, I think we was maybe October is when Donald was murdered in front of King. That was our start of our rec ball season. So we tackling that going into a funeral before some of our games was really about to go to a whole nother level with the Department of Rec. So you got about 12 kids that's under the age of 15 that this is their first encounter with gun violence. So, and then mental health wasn't a big issue. So we didn't know what this was, you know what I mean? It was just a culture shock for us. And then that's why my work when it comes to gun violence is so passionate. It has nothing to do with the money for me. Yeah.
And you have firsthand experience of it. And that was, I guess, the defining moment where you were like, nah, this has got to stop.
18 friends and family I've lost to gun violence to date.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you think about the name Shoot Basketballs, Not People, obvious from what's going on in the city, but also your personal experience. And then at what moment did you say, I'm going to make this become an organization? And what were the steps to do that?
And I say this in our documentary, Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia on Amazon, about going to the library on Washington Lane for 6 months straight. I ain't have nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm going in there 6 to 8 hours a day on the computer, trying to figure this out. I didn't have no mentor. So anything that I learned about the 501c3 process, bylaws, fundraising, grant writing, all came from me sitting down in that library.
And what is, for people who don't know the difference between nonprofit and profit, what legally defines a nonprofit organization?
So when you think about nonprofit organizations, a 501c3, a lot of people get into this space for the money. They're like, oh, okay, I can write a grant. I'm going to get $100,000. I just got my largest grant last year.
Wow.
So that's 14 years of a body of work that for the first 13 or some odd years, I was bootstrapping it. As opposed to a profit company, you can go to an investor and they give you terms on a contract, or they want a percentage of your company or some type of equity play. But when it comes to nonprofits, you got different facets. You have, you got your grant writing. You have earned income tax credits where you can, your donors can get tax credits for what they donate to your organization. Wow, there's so many different ways you could fundraise. You could just do regular fundraising where it's just, we do something called the 10 for 10, where we might give a sheet to a parent, 10 slots. Let's say it's $20 per slot. Now you can raise $200 per kid instead of that single parent mom or that dad or that family trying to figure out how to pay for AAU or something. That was one of the more lower tier ones. But now we're in the process of a capital campaign to open up a facility. So it's like, that's a completely different animal, because now you're talking about anywhere from $500,000 to $3 million for a facility.
Right.
So that comes with accounting, that comes with construction, that comes with accounting fees every month, like lawyer fees and accounting fees. People don't understand is like sky high.
Right.
But again, they think nonprofits are just getting the 501c3 paperwork, writing a grant, and that's it. It's way more complex than that.
Yeah. And what did you start with? So I know, like, once you started an organization, you had to have funding to be able to keep it going.
Started with nothing.
And then you started the clinic initiatives, right?
Yeah.
What was the idea behind that? And how did you have, I know you say you didn't have mentorship, but there was some idea that was like, all right, I got to fund this somehow.
No, I mean, it was bootstrapping. It was hoodies out of the trunk.
Yeah.
It was T-shirts. It was, you got 20 here, you got 40 here, you want to pay for a kid here. And then I was working 2 full-time jobs. So I would work the first job, that would go to the crib. Second job would go to the organization. After that, I bootstrapped that, 13 years.
That's crazy. And today that's unheard of in terms of people believing in their mission that much.
Absolutely.
To do the groundwork, to invest that much time and energy. 14 years is a long time. What made you believe in it that much to still continue on this long?
Sending kids to college. I talk about this everywhere, about the groundwork my grandfather set for me was at Concerned Black Men. That was my first, okay, what does this community look like? What does community building look like? Watching chess tournaments at Concerned Black Men, watching Coach Eric Mundy with the West Oak Lane Wildcats and how he took a group of us, never asked our parents for a dime. And it was like, I'm taking them here. They're going to play in Chester. They're going to play in Philly. We're going to play everywhere. But that really started like, okay, if this parent ain't got the money, I ain't going to make them pay.
Right.
But if I want this kid to really excel and succeed at the next level, then bring them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I don't need basketball. A lot of these kids are not going to be NBA, WNBA. We know that. But if I can help, like my guy Vision, Jordan. I love Jordan. I'm going to shout him out too. Visions by JG. Like, I always have him think about bigger opportunities. You know what I mean? Yes, you're a photographer. Yes, you're a content creator. But when we took him to the Eagles training camp, now that opens up a whole nother plethora of like opportunities. And that's all I want to do is use my platform to give other people opportunities. You know what I mean? And that's all I really want to do.
Let's talk about the business of nonprofits, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what do people get wrong?
Oh, wow. Systems, processes, understanding that business is way more extensive than just an Instagram page and a website. You know what I mean? Like, there's strategic business planning meetings you got to have for nonprofits. You got to have a fundraising strategy. You can't go into 26 saying, I want to raise $1 million, and you don't even know how you're going to get to the million. Right? But rewind back to the beginning. You got to understand what a 990 is. How do you read a 990 tax return? Even with the 501 process, like that in itself is a whole different animal. But from the paperwork, now you're talking fast forward into programming. What does qualitative and quantitative data look like? How are we tracking this data? How does this data prove that what we're doing works? You know what I mean? And those are just some of the small things. Now you're talking about, okay, I got that ready. Okay, now I got to go to my lawyer. So now I got to go get the whistleblower policy, the record retention policy. Now, you got about 6 policies right there, but they're not factoring in. I knew that lawyer-wise, I wanted the best, who was the best at the nonprofit space. She $375 an hour. So that gives you an idea of if she needs to draft up all these processes, all these policies, all making sure that legalities in our contracts and the contingencies in our contracts benefit us, that's over $10,000 just in lawyer fees.
Right.
Now we're not talking about crossing over to an accountant. So now you got to make sure your accountant has all your grant reporting right. You said you was going to spend this money where you say you're going to spend it. When your funders come back and say, hey, Gary, you guys did 5X this year off of 20,000. Hey, let's give you 50. Right. But they're not going to, you're not immediately coming into this game getting 20, 30, 40, $50,000 grants. You're going to have to start with the 1,000, the 25, the 5, and gradually build yourself up. But one of the key factors outside of organizational structures, what I see in nonprofits, is the ability to understand marketing and branding. Nonprofits don't do a good job of that.
I want to go back to the 990 paperwork. For people who don't know what that is, can you explain what that is?
So that's an annual tax return that you have for your nonprofit. But outside of the 990, you have other things that go inside of that. So remember when we talked about the processes with your accountants? Like, I need to know, okay, Misha Horsey, I paid Misha Horsey to do skill development. But even if I send you that cash app, she still need the receipt. Right. So a lot of times it comes down to, what does your receipt tracking look like? Like you said, payroll. Payroll got to be paid. What's your payroll system? Are you going to be late on your payments? Are you going to pay your people on time when you say you're going to pay them? When it comes down to like the filing, you got to know the dates. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you miss dates, can you get the extension? Like, so it's so much that goes into that 501 process that if you get with the right people, and one of the organizations, I got to shout them out, Philly Bolt. Okay. In my transition from a grassroots leader to a nonprofit executive, the systems that they gave me and that I implemented into shoe basketballs once I was done took me to skyrocket. Yeah. What would you say would be the difference in those two titles that you just mentioned? So I tell people all the time, when you are a grassroots leader, that's like you're the, like, let's take this neighborhood, right? I'm the community liaison in this neighborhood. I do all the basketball leagues. I do the neighborhood cleanups, but you ain't making no money. Right. Right. Or you don't look at it as a business. It's just something you love to do and this is your passion, but people get burnt out from their passions. Yeah. Right. So now it's like, okay, I knew that I wanted to make a transition. I'm looking at United Way. I'm looking at Gift of Life. I'm looking at all these top tier Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, all these major organizations that's doing dope work across the nation. It's like, okay, well, what makes them different from me? Right. So the only thing that made them different was the mindset of the leader. So I had to be in those rooms. I had to go to those galas. I had to go to have those tough conversations and ask questions that I'm like, damn, I ain't trying to ask this dude how you raised $1 million. Right. If I don't ask you, I ain't gonna know. Right. So I started asking tough questions, and a lot of people started like giving me the answers that I needed. So you talked about something that's really important, that it's kind of like when people hear the word, it's just like, oh, I hate it, right? Networking. When you think about networking, right, you have so many people who are the introverts or the extrovert, like people who like feel better in these small circumstances rather than going to those galas and stuff that you mentioned, to be like, all right, I'm in here, I'm in a room, I'm trying to make it work. What is some advice that you could give our audience about networking? Maybe some tips that you have for them that has helped you get in a room and stay in a room. Being innovative. And I don't change. What you see is what you get. Whether I'm in the room with corporate or whether I'm in the neighborhoods, it don't even matter. For me, it's more of networking with the right people. I'm not going to an event if I know it does not benefit shoot basketballs, not people. Right. Garry Mills is the business person. Yes, I can make that connection for somebody else, but I need to be in the rooms that benefit me. You know what I mean? One of the rooms, I got to shout it out, Filler Club has been tremendous because, like, for us, you know, there is a small percentage of Black members, but at the end of the day, the representation matters. So it's like, okay, if I'm meeting somebody who's a lawyer, I might not need the lawyer, but Misha might need the lawyer. Or I got this content creator, they only focus on food. Okay. I got a chef homie that needs some content. Yo, now I'm adding value by building a bridge.
Yeah.
And that's where the value is at for me when it comes to connections, because if somebody call me, there's no gatekeeping with me. I ain't gatekeeping no connects. Like, long as you respect the connect that I'm about to give you, don't make me look bad in the process. But again, the only way I'm gonna find out is handing it over to connect.
Right. For sure.
But most of the time I make sure that whoever I link somebody with, it's always going to be synergy there some type of way.
I think there are, I guess, in a modern nonprofit basketball sector, especially now coming up in 2026, what are the primary, I guess, revenue streams that help you in general, this nonprofit basketball space? What would you recommend?
Grant writing. I was super aggressive with grant writing.
Yeah.
The average organization might write 2 to 4 grants a month. I wrote 115 last year.
It's crazy.
I got the receipts. Just in case I got the receipts. But 115 grants is what we wrote in 2025. Now, mind you, this is with no established donor base yet. This is with not becoming an EITC organization yet.
And what's that?
Earned income tax credits, which a lot
what you just said,
larger ones use. But we're now talking to other people.
Got you.
Now I'm crossing over into that space. What does that look like? Because that's more appealing than just saying, okay, you get a tax deductible write-off. All right, anybody can get that.
Right.
Okay, but if I get this earned income tax credit, that's a lot more appealing fundraising wise than just saying you getting a tax deductible situation or deducting whatever you want off your annual.
Got you.
So for me, the grants were very key for us. Contracts. So we just got our first after school contract.
Nice.
With OST, which is out of school time resource, which is after school through the city of Philadelphia.
Dope.
So now we want to go and want to build out our after school program. And shout out to my OST team, Yogi Den, Janelle, Levette, Malik. They do a phenomenal job at Still Elementary. And we're working with a low income population in Nicetown. So everything like some of these other kids would get, now I'm giving it to the kids who really need it. And that's been a huge piece financially for us because it allows us to do even greater work now. Yeah. It allows us to go in neighborhoods that we more normally wouldn't go into.
Yeah. And probably too, like, if we, at the end of this, we're going to talk about like building a sustainable opportunity out of this, but I'm sure that helps.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it helps developing those contracts and stuff like that. So you talked about grants. Sounds like the program income could be from those contracts.
Absolutely.
What about partnerships and sponsors and stuff like that?
I'm a serial networker. I'm a serial partner too. Like, I believe that collaboration is a new currency, man.
Yeah.
The more you collaborate with people, and people that's aligned and like-minded too.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit down with somebody and say, oh, let's do this program or let's do this event. If it don't make sense for me, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when we think about the partnership aspect, and that's another thing in the Black community that is frowned upon, especially in the nonprofit sector. Not a lot of people are partnering to like go greater. It's a lot of egos. So it's like, okay, put the egos to the side. Which is more important? Your ego personally or the benefit of the city in these neighborhoods and these children?
Yep.
And if you got personal gain, cool. That's great. That just ain't for me. Mm-hmm. And I could tell that whether you interact with the kids, if money is just a concern of yours, it's like, bro, like, we're going to go get the money. We're going to go find it. If we don't get it, we're going to go fundraise it ourselves. But that shouldn't be the driving force for us to like get this thing started. Yeah. Even if we got to come out our pockets for it. Or you put up this, I put up this. All right, let's go get some uniforms or whatever we got to do to get it done. Let's get it done.
So there's a myth, right? That like, if I have a nonprofit organization, that I'm not going to get paid, right? Yeah. How do nonprofit leaders, executive directors, how do they pay themselves? How do you actually make a living out of this?
I didn't get paid till 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
Literally. Like I took losses for a long time because I wanted to grow the business. I kept reinvesting back in the business. And sometimes it did. Like early on, it hurt the household sometimes because I wanted to pay for them basketballs and I wanted to pay for Limfest Center rental fees and whatever else just to keep it, going. But yeah. That myth is real.
Yeah.
That myth is real. Like if you ain't, bringing in a substantial amount of money fundraising wise, like don't look to get paid. You might get your little 200 here from a stipend or something like that. But until you get like real live, I'm going to say 6 figures or better, because the average programming, you're going to have to pay people. So you're going to have to take a cut somewhere. Yeah. Now, how much you willing to take, that's up to you. But a lot of these grants come with restrictions on salaries. So you can't go past a certain percentage when you're writing certain salaries. So that's why we were so aggressive with grant writing.
Wow. Tell me more about that. Or what are some examples of some
like give you an example, like if we write a grant for, I don't know, youth development, right? Yeah. And let's say this grant is 20 grand, but the programming, the insurance and all this stuff costs 13,000. I mean, there's only 7 grand left. But still, you still got to make sure your staff is paid. You still got food for the program. You still got apparel for the program. You still got to pay your staff. Yeah. You still got, if you got to pay for the facility. Like, there's so many other intangibles that come with that. It's like, in my opinion, you got to hit at least 6 figures to see something. Right. And that's why we were so aggressive, because me writing 2 to 4 grants and maybe getting 1 or none a month, that ain't going to work for us.
Yeah, that's hard.
No, me and my team, like, super, super aggressive. Anything that come down the pipeline, we own it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we set up our CRM where it basically updates when the next grant is due, when the next grant coming in. What's the due dates on that grant? How much is the grant? What are we going to use it for? Like even if we don't get it, we still map out the whole grant as if we got it already.
Now, grants, I want to touch on that because I'm sure like the audience are probably like, well, I'm trying to write these grants. I'm not getting any traction. What's some grant writer tips that have helped you get some major grants that you received?
Data.
Yeah.
Data. Not fraudulent data, not using other nonprofits' data, using sufficient data that people can see. You know what I mean? Like real time. You know what I mean? Like if I say I'm going to impact 1,000 kids, it better show that you impacted these 1,000 kids, especially to a funder, and they'll know because they'll see the work based on what you did with the money. Another thing is the format. Does it make sense? Like if I'm going after a state grant, federal grant, or city grant, those are all 3 different type of grants. So now, and the higher it goes, the more competitive it is. So if there's, let's say, 7,000 nonprofits in Philly, and let's say this one city grant comes out, you might have 22,000 people applying for this one grant, but they only giving it to 75 people. Right. So now it goes into the networking part. How do I take a program manager or a grant manager to coffee, build the relationships with the foundations? How do I invite them out to lunch or dinner about what we're doing? How do I tell them to come out for a site visit to see what we're doing? Because sometimes, and it's still foundations that haven't funded us, but they've been to our camps, they've been to our events, they've met me, you know what I mean? But they're not ready to fund it yet. Yeah. And some of these foundations have to pull back after this particular year, because I think it was $300 million that got cut from gun violence nationally. So it's like, that's a part of my budget. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not getting the funding, that's 300 that's off the table. So how do I become more innovative in what type of funding we're going after? You know what I mean? Are we going after like youth sports? Yeah. Barely funded. Right. And for me, that's the driver in a lot of these communities. But I think that's, part of the problem when it comes to programming in the city is because they don't have the money for that kind of stuff. So, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to get innovative with your approach? Yeah. What else? Grant writing. Understanding where to find the grants at. Yeah. Websites like Grant Station, Instrumental. Wow, there's so many of them. But those are the main 2 that we use. Yeah. But literally all day long, I'm on looking at everything. Yeah. Mental health. All right, that don't work. Youth development, that don't work. All right, gun violence, that don't work. Like, I'm going after everything. When we think about board of directors. Yes.
Because that is, in terms of the structure of a nonprofit, that is a necessity, right?
That's the outside of marketing. Yeah. Being the lifeline of it. If you got a board that ain't hustling with you or that's vouching for you, What's the point?
How do you pick good board members?
For me, I pick them based off my mission. I mean, why do you want to be here? Is this like for you to get the one up on your corporate buddies, to say you're a part of something helping Black kids, or you really care about this neighborhood and you're going to, excuse my French, bring your ass to the neighborhood and actually physically see what we doing, not just writing a check or getting your homies to write a check. Like, I don't want them board members. Them ain't the ones for me. The ones I want is, I ain't saying be in the trenches every day, but let your presence be felt. Let it be known, like, I represent this. This is why I represent this. This is not about money this is because I connect, because I lost a brother to gun violence, or one of my, family members committed suicide or something. They love basketball, or, my mom was in this space when I was young. You know what I mean? I want that genuine, whole heart connection. Like, if that ain't it, I don't want it. Yeah.
And what role do they play?
I mean, so a lot of times in your board, you want your board to play the roles where either your organization is weakened or you want expertise that you don't have to pay consultants in.
Gotcha.
Meaning, if I have a lawyer come on our board, they can give us legal advice, right? Or do some pro bono work for us. Or if there's an accountant, he could do some, or he or she can do pro bono work for us. A marketing person, somebody that's in high level marketing or branding that can help us with the content and whatever else. But my suggestion is 5 to 7. I wouldn't do no more than 7 board members.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's too much hands in a pot.
Too much. I mean, and it's just too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're doing your meetings and it's like, everybody has an opinion, of course, but it has to play along with where we're going.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So when we think about, I guess I want to say, we go from the board members, then we go to actual programming, and then we get to, going back to your why, right? Yeah. Like, why nonprofit versus profit? In this sector, it's easier to just choose profit.
I mean, it's easier, but I like the nonprofit sector. Why? Because the work that I do. You know what I mean? Like, like a lot of nonprofits are being bought by venture capitalist companies. A lot of people don't even know.
Yeah.
And the reason why they buy them is because of the data.
Right.
So you got to think, if, let's say, for instance, I go acquire an AAU brand and they got all this data from 200 teams for 10 years. Mm-hmm. You know how much that data is worth?
Yeah, that's real.
You see what I'm saying? So, one of the things that I did was, a lot of people don't talk about trademarking. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people had these nonprofits out there and they don't even own them. So it's like, for me, the first thing I did was I got a trademark lawyer. So literally give you an example, 50 Cent got G-Unit. Mm-hmm. He probably had to get 50 different trademarks for 50 different things. That's $325 mailing. I think it's $375 per class. Mm-hmm. But you just fell into 50 classes. So that goes back into the planning part of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if somebody was to come to Garry Mills and say, hey, I want to buy Shoe Basketballs Not People, well, I own the IP.
I know that's right.
So that's where my leverage is at now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't no just hand it over, you're going to hand me a $500,000 check and then go off in the sun. Mm-hmm. Like, you tripping. Yeah. Negative. And I knew that a lot of, like, the larger leagues, the NCAA, the NBA, WNBA, like, they don't have gun violence prevention programs, and not even half, 80+ % of your players come from violent and poverty-stricken areas. Mm-hmm. But you don't have anything to give back to those neighborhoods or those players. Yeah. And I understand probably why, because of the connections they got with different companies and all that kind of stuff. But for us, we wanted to make sure that if that opportunity presented itself, whether it be a Nike, even UA or Adidas come to us and say, hey, we want to jump behind this thing, they got to know that you know what you're doing. They got to know that the paperwork is where it needs to be. Do you own the IP? Because guess what? If you don't, let's say Nike come on, like, damn, they don't even own that. Let me just...
And they will.
Let me take that.
Will.
Let me take it.
Yeah. Were there any limitations or are there any limitations that come with being a nonprofit?
Burnout. Burnout and mental health is super important for not only grassroots leaders, more importantly, but nonprofit executives too. But if we're talking like, in the infant stages, burnout. Yeah. Because you up all night trying to figure out how you're going to pay for this. You up all night, how can I get this grant? How can I get this program? And like, your brain is racing even when you're sleeping. So it's like, for me, I didn't realize my burnout until like my body shut down on me a couple times throughout these years, like where I couldn't even get out of bed. And I don't really talk, this is the first time
That's crazy.
talk about how real mental health is as just being a leader in Philly, because you're in environments where there's a dark cloud. I mean, it is what it is. We're in one of the poorest cities in America. People are stressed out. They don't have no money. You know what I mean? But that plays onto you because subconsciously you like, damn, like these people, they dealing with a whole lot of stuff that I ain't dealing with.
You want to be a part of change.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, before you get in this game, that probably by far outside the business part is what you should think about first. Like, if you built for this. A lot of people say they built for this nonprofit game. They ain't built for it.
What makes you built for it? How do you avoid burnout?
Because I love it. And there was no money attached to it in the beginning while doing it. And it's still not. You know what I mean? I just got better at what I was doing. But like, I had to go to therapy for this. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, the subject of grief. That's 18 funerals, not including one last week I just went to. Like, God rest his soul too, and his life to Coach Paz. But that shit is real. You know what I mean? When you got to sit down with a therapist, and as Black men, we don't do that. So you sitting down talking about how to process grief, it's like, dude, I've been dealing with grief since 14 with no therapist. So there's a lot of trauma that comes with that, because it's like, and you don't even know it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know how to identify that because this is not your space. You're not in therapy. You won't even identify it if you had to. Burnout and mental health is real in this game. Yeah. It's real.
So what makes somebody like, yo, you go through the times where you feel like you feeling that burnout. What other characteristics for somebody running a nonprofit makes them built for this lifestyle?
You got to be able to lead. A lot of people think just because I got a program, I'm a leader. And I've seen a lot of people that just don't have leadership skill sets. Like, you know what I mean? And I know, from being on championship teams, and running your own businesses, and understanding, what positions to put people in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's not good at this, or everybody's not good at that. But if you don't have the leadership qualities to like really put people in position to like really carry stuff out, I mean, you lost already.
If somebody from watching this episode gets inspired or wants to do the same type of work in their city, what would be the first step for them to take?
Learn the game. Don't do nothing until you understand this whole thing from top to bottom. Like, you ain't gonna have everything in a day, a week, or even a year.
I would say, for somebody looking at from a leadership perspective, what's a typical day look like for you?
I mean, it used to be 16 to 18 hour days. Like 4 hours of sleep max. Now 5 hours a week. Yeah. Because everything's automated now. Yeah. From the time that email come in, who does it need to go to? Okay, now we're going to process this in Asana, which is our project management situation. Now we're going to go over to Salesforce and track this. Like, mind you, I was doing all this by myself. Right. So that's where the burnout came out, because I done spent 3-4 hours on grant writing. Now I got to go spend another 2 hours on accounting. I go spend it. So I'm getting in the bed 2:00. I'm back up at 5:45 for my kid. Yeah. Dang. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we ain't even talk about that.
And I'm a father. So I'm doing all of this on top of being a dad of a girl at that. Yeah. So it's like, there's other things that I've learned in this process by being a dad now throughout this nonprofit sector, like being more soft and, I got a daughter now. Like, so I'm in coach mode. Now I can't be in coach mode. Now I gotta be watching, Zootopia 2 and you know what I mean? But that's the
Moana.
Thrill. Right. Yeah, that's the thrill of it though. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the hard work, being able to provide for her and sending her to private school and, giving her the things that she needs. Like, this is why I grind the way I grind. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a lot of significant moments. I mean, even being like in partnership with you, doing some stuff with you and following you on Instagram. You've done some really cool stuff. Is there a moment throughout the 14 years that you've been doing this work that still sticks with you?
Yeah, two moments primarily. The one was driving to driving to Akron, Ohio. Shout out to DJ Mr. King too. Winter storm. Got caught with a winter storm coming back from Ohio. So we drove up one day, 7 hours, drove out of Ohio, did a camp, 8 to 4, gassed up, came right back. But on the way back, it's supposed to be a 7-hour trip, turned into a 14. And we, nobody, like everybody who knows that was in the car, we actually slid off the road on black ice with kids in the car. You know what I'm saying? But it was, that moment lets me know, like, all right, I'm putting my life on the line.
Yeah,
right? And Super Bowl. I mean,
how did that happen?
Shit don't get no bigger than that, baby.
We're going to put pictures and stuff on the episode.
Super Bowl was, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Wow. That's all. And then to actually see them win it, the parade, the behind the scenes stuff, like that little 4 to 5 day span, I learned probably more in 1 year than I did because I got to see the operational stuff behind the scenes. Like everybody sees the finished product. They don't see like the parade was at, I think it was 10 a.m. I was out there since 6. So we just sitting around for 4 hours. I'm watching these floats and you watching people do this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Crazy.
But
I can imagine.
It was exciting to me as a business person because it's like, okay, this is the largest sporting event in the world. You know what I mean? So now I get to see going into the game. Okay, this is where they walk in the tunnel at. Okay, this is how this media person is operating. These how these concerts is being thrown. This is how they do they travel. Like, and I'm just watching. I'm just taking it all in. And then when they won it, I was like, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's no better feeling than that, man. Especially being from Philly.
Right.
And having, you know how we are about our sports. So then to be there, and I think you have some pretty good seats, I think.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah, shout out to the Eagles. You know what I mean? Yeah, shout out to them. Like, we had real good seats for that game.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
What about moments from the kids and any impact? Was there a moment where you were like, yo, I'm supposed to be doing this work, man?
Watching, and we talk about this in a documentary too, those 4 children, but what they're doing now, getting college degrees. One is like doing some reality TV shows, an artist. One is doing like management with car dealerships. Man, there's so many stories, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so many stories, but those 4 in particular, like, you know what I mean? That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I think for me, going to a graduation is sometimes more beneficial than funding because it's like I knew this kid came from this environment, single parent household, and got a master's degree. You don't see that often.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or this young man went from, he was a head case at Carson Valley where I might have worked at. Now this young man got his own company rocking and rolling from conversations we had when I was working with behavioral health children. You know what I mean? So those are those key moments. And then outside of shoot basketballs, working at Carson twice, helped 2 kids not commit suicide, helping a kid get out of a tree. And then one was a young lady tried to get out the window while I was raining cats and dogs in the bathroom. I had literally hanging out the window to pull her back in the window. So for me, sitting on that floor and crying with these kids because of the trauma that they had to deal with, that I have no idea how to deal with. So that lets me know that my gift for children is massive.
Yeah. And what belief did you have to have for yourself to know that this was the type of work that you could do?
God, that's it. I just knew I needed to do this work. I knew I needed to do this work. And I've dedicated my life to this work. Some people say, I'm going to get out of it eventually. It's like, nah, I ain't getting out of it. Like, even if I get to the point where, I'm high up on the totem pole in the organization, it's a national, I want to still be in the trenches.
I want to go back to the moments piece because I remember, this was a while ago, but I think Allen Iverson had this shoot basketball. This was your original logo,
Temple
right?
University. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that moment. What was that feeling like?
It was dope. It was dope to have a neighborhood hero do that kind of stuff. And then, fast forward, he was the executive producer on our film. Would I have liked him to do more? Absolutely. But just to be mentioned in that same category with him, that was monstrous. You know what I mean? Especially coming from a T-shirt. Yeah. To see, Chuck wearing that was crazy.
And how did your documentary come about? And for people don't who don't know about it, tell us about.
It wasn't even supposed to be a full-length film. How it started was my cousin Kyra, shout out to K-Knox Production and Kyra. We had a teaser on YouTube. It was only supposed to be like a quick little, maybe 20-minute joint on YouTube or whatever. And then Chuck's people seen it on Twitter. Shout out to Mark Mims, Home Studios too. But we fast forward. Kyra didn't have no crazy budget. I ain't had no crazy budget. Mark put a couple dollars into it, and we used 3 Instagram pages for that film.
Wow.
We didn't have no marketing behind it. At the end of it, we won, and don't quote me, I want to say it was either 17 or 19 awards. A couple of them we got Best Documentary, the one in the Misha Film Festival and the Philadelphia Film Festival and the Harlem Hip Hop Film Festival. We won Best Documentary.
That's dope.
And then we were able to get a streaming deal with Amazon and
nice.
Foxhole.
That's all it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And tell us, not the whole thing, but maybe the plot of it so people know.
I mean, it's my life.
It's your story.
It's my life.
Got you.
And it goes into the deeper parts of my life. It goes into the kids' lives. It goes into the impact. And because you hear from the parents at the end. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you do this work and you only hear from the leader. You never really hear from the parents and the kids. And I was very adamant about making sure that was in there. And I wanted people to see the raw side of the story, like not the fabricated, they get billboards and this is great. Like humble beginnings. Let's just put it that way. Super humble beginnings.
I love it. I love it. We're going to make sure we put that in there. So if you had one message for the next person who feels called to do this type of work, but is scared to start, what would you tell them? You can look in the camera for that.
Just start.
Yeah.
These children need you guys. These children need strong leaders. These kids just need love. Point blank period. These kids need love. That's it.
I love it. I want you to finish this sentence. I am grateful to the game because
it saved my life.
Tell me more.
Anything that happened in the household with parents, anything that happened around the neighborhood, the basketball court was my sanctuary. Rain, sleet, snow. Certain nights where like one of my parents would have to turn the lights on, like outside, or I'm playing off the orange light in Pastorius's yard when I was growing up around, True and Shelton. Fast forward to Simon's, waking up 8 a.m. practices where the bottom of your sneakers is burning from suicides, and going to Dougie O camp in the summertime outside, which most kids probably would never do. Yeah. But that's why I knew I loved that game.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
How can people follow Shoe Basketball's Not People? Where can they support? And if you were talking to an investor or someone who wanted to give to your organization, what would you tell them?
They can donate to www.joinsbnp.org, or you can follow us on Instagram at joinsbnp. That's it.
Nice. And then what would you tell folks who want to support?
Invest in the people that's doing the work. Stop investing in programs for political gain, for to get an award, a lifetime achievement award. Like, do it because like these neighborhoods matter. Do it because the kids matter. Do it because single parent mothers need us. Yeah.
So, Garry, thank you so much for being on, man.
Hey, family, man.
I appreciate it.
All day. That's
another episode of Business of Basketball. Like he said, follow him on Join
SBNP.
Yes, on Instagram. Make sure you donate, support. He's doing a great thing. I have also been able to do some really great things with Garry. More to come. Absolutely. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one. So we have some quick picks that we have. It's a part of the episode. First one is AAU. So AAU versus skill development. What do you think has more impact? Grassroots developmental programs versus elite exposure. So what should parents prioritize and why?